Why, hi there, slot car fans. This is my next update on my progress regarding the testing for the USA Slot.It 2025 Nationals. And I'm going to be quick about this one. I've had a long, tiring day, as all the guys here have, walking around on those hard floors, playing slot cars. So yeah, just a quick update on where I'm up to with my testing. So yeah, lots of testing today, which has allowed me to make my final decisions. So the controller side of things, I think I've already mentioned to you, I'm happy to go with the DiFalco and use the True Speed as a reserve. The next thing would be the cars. So I'm going to flip the phone and we're going to look at the cars. So here we are. There's actually three cars here. There is the Lancia, the Nissan and the Jaguar, the XJR10, as I've mentioned in previous videos. Now the Lancia is a no-no. It's not a bad car, nothing wrong with it, but it took a whack when I dropped it from the top of a cabinet, so it doesn't have any wheels on at the moment. But you can see that the fins are missing at the back, here, and also the light cluster is gone. If I can just get it in focus, there we go. The light cluster has gone on this side where it fell on the rear. So yeah, functionally it works, but I'm not happy putting a car in that condition into a race of a nationals category. So that one's a no-no. In terms of pace, it's not a big sacrifice. I think it's still a solid decision. So I'm not going to lose any sleep over not running that car. When I get home, I'll repair it as best I can and run it in other categories. The next one is the Nissan that you know already. With the Nissan and the Jaguar, these are test bodies that I knew they were going to take impacts in practice, and these are the actual bodies that I will race depending on which car I select. So for the Nissan, you've got the red cabin livery. It's a nice livery actually, looks good on this car. But yeah, this won't be the body that I race. It is fully ballasted, so it is as per the rules, but it won't be the body that I race if I race this car. With the Jaguar, similarly, the Budweiser, the Bud Light livery, not one of my favourites by any stretch of the imagination. So this is purely a test body. So if I get involved in an accident during practice, I don't really care. It's not a problem. I've had to glue the rear wing on 3 or 4 times already. So the bodies that I would be running would be the ones I painted up myself. So the Nissan with its Martini livery and the Jaguar with its silk cut livery. Those would be the bodies that I run. So yeah, it's down to those two cars and which of those two do I prefer in the race setup. So after extensive testing today, I will go into more detail on certain things, but after extensive testing today, I've decided I'm going to go with the Jaguar. It's a very small amount quicker on lap time, but it is a lot smoother and more reliable in terms of repeating one lap pace and making that into a consistent pace, for the duration of a heat. I also enlisted the help of some of my buddies over here in the US, the ones who I race with at this event, and they saw both cars on the track and they said, Ian, just put the Nissan away. It needs to be the Jaguar, so run with the Jaguar. So I'm going to be running the Jaguar XJR10, but I'll be running with the silk cut livery with that body. Now I mentioned in the prior video that I've got high hopes for this car, and I probably need to explain a bit more detail about that based on what I learned today. And what I want to talk about specifically is the impact of the braid having been upgraded from the magna braid to the non-magnetic braid. I say upgraded. You can argue whether it's an upgrade or a downgrade, but it is, it's a much higher quality surface that we can run on now because it's a new braid. So I'm calling it an upgrade. The impact of running on non-magnetic braid is not just a simple case of, oh, I've got less magnetic downforce, or I've got less downforce on the car, therefore I've got less grip and therefore I have to go slower through the corners. That is one impact, but it's not the only impact of having non-magnetic braid. The other thing that I've been seeing over the last couple of days while I've been here. So I say a couple of days. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as we start now. Is another impact that you have is whether you can perceive it or not. The car will slide more with this non-magnetic braid than it would have done before. So it still makes it through the corner, albeit at a slightly slower speed, but it is sliding because it's not being held down by any magnetic downforce. And that is having an impact on the surface of the rubber on the tyre. So the impact that we're seeing, well, I think it's not just me, I think there are others seeing it as well. There's two impacts. One is that the surface of the tyre is heating up quite quickly, especially after the twisty section on the track where the tyres are being called into combat, over successive corners. So that the surface of the tyre is heating up, and it's polishing the tyre quite quickly as well. But it's polishing it in a kind of a rough way. So it's not marbles. It's not like you see on Formula One cars. It's not marbles that we're seeing, but the tyre is not as smooth and coherent as you would see if it came off a tyre truer and if it had been polished on a tyre truer and then put on the track for polishing. It's not quite the same. It's got a certain texture to it, and it doesn't give a particularly consistent feel. So what that means is, you take a set of tyres that you've trued, you put them on the car, and you would normally run them in for 50 or 100 laps or something like that to try and give a nice, consistent, even texture around the circumference of the tyre. That process is not working as well because the car is sliding. So, you could slow down a bit more, obviously, but you can slow down to a point where you're not actually doing any work to polish the tyre off. So you do need to push a little bit to actually get that polishing action to work. And it's not working particularly well with the G25 tyre and this track combination. So that's been a real learning curve. Because the impact of that is that your tyres aren't then as effective, they're not as grippy, and therefore your lap time suffers. So last year I think I was doing 6.2, 6.3s with the Magna Braid. This year I'm doing 6.7, 6.6s, with a few 6.5s thrown in, but it's hard work getting there, and it doesn't feel particularly consistent lap to lap. Now, this is quite disheartening. You're standing there at the driver station and you're driving around and you feel that the car isn't really under you, and it's quite disheartening. However, I think it's the same for everybody. The lap times that I've seen people doing are not great lap times. Some people are very good, obviously. Some people are always going to rise to the top. But for the average across the field, the lap times are significantly down on last year. I'm talking like, half a second plus. So I think it's something that is affecting everybody. And on reflection, I think looking at the last year's event, I think the Magna Braid was giving us a cushion that we weren't really acknowledging. We were happy to get it, use it, make the best of it, get the pace out of it, but we weren't really acknowledging it that much in terms of how it also kept your tyres in good condition. Now that magnetic effect has gone away, the tyres are no longer automatically being kept in a good condition. And you have to be very disciplined to drive in a particular way, i.e. don't hang the tail out, so that you're not abusing the surface of the rubber surface of the tyre. So that's been quite a learning. I've written off a set of tyres. Another friend of mine has loaned me a set of tyres for the race because he trued them up the night before. He lives locally, so he's been going home every night, so he can actually true up a set of tyres and that sort of thing. So he's very kindly, thank you Ryan Delgado, you know who you are. He's loaned me a set of tyres, which is a very gracious thing for him to do. I really appreciate it, and I hope I can justify your faith in giving me a set of tyres. Thank you. So yeah, that's it. I said I was going to give you an update on the decisions. The Nissan will always be a backup. It's there as a backup. It doesn't treat its tyres as nicely as the Jaguar does, and it is a knife edge. So if you're on one side of the knife edge with the Jag, that's the way you're going to go as compared to the other side of the knife edge, which is the Nissan. So they're pretty close, but the Jag, better on its tyres, better pace, and I want to concourse that silk cut paint job, basically. So that's what I'll be doing. So there you go. That's the update for today. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go to bed. It's late, and I need to be up in the morning. So take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and do something nice for somebody today. Okay? Cheers now. Bye.